Well, out with the old and in with the new. And for 2022, I wanted to wipe the slate completely clean for Work to Live and start fresh because, like for so many of us, 2021 was a dumpster fire of a year for me. I would hesitate to call it my worst year, but it definitely makes the top 5, and it's a strong medal stand contender, I guess. Let's put it that way. I can resolutely proclaim it the worst year of my life that I was the least prepared for. I was in a serious motorcycle accident that gifted me with a broken wrist and a shattered femur. My father was in and out of the hospital with some pretty intensely scary symptoms as a result of a bike accident. I saw the dissolution of a partnership that, before its destruction, gave me a new understanding of how deeply it was possible to love another human. And just like everyone else, I dealt with another year of pandemic-induced isolation and corrosion of my social connections. Side note, if you find yourself in a solid partnership in a pandemic, hold on to it like it was the last new PlayStation on the shelf at a Black Friday sale. Getting dumped in the middle of existing in relative quarantine is an incarnation of loneliness that beggars description. And all of that is just the top line billing. There were plenty of other less brutal injustices as well. All in all, I guess it felt like the year that just wouldn't quit raining down blows, even as I lay bloody and dazed on the mat, desperately hoping to be saved by the bell so I could just retreat to my corner and lick my wounds. Now, that's not to say it was all nightmarish. COVID managed to smuggle some silver linings in with the lead balloons. I did get to unlock that higher level of love. I spent some of the most meaningful time with family and friends that I can remember in recent years, and I strengthened the bonds of the relationships with a couple of friends that made it into my quarantine bubble before the world completely melted. And I had one of the most lucrative years at work in my 12 years of being a real estate broker. All of those things were, in part though, fueled by how the pandemic concentrated our appreciation of things that it left unmolested. And therein lies the rub. It would be easier if I could simply say 2021 is a year I would gladly forget. The year that just shall not be named. But it isn't. It contained points of brilliant beauty that I would be hard-pressed to erase in order to save the pain. Unfortunately, that pain is the sort that stays with you like a shadow, impossible to outrun and immutably tied to you by the laws of physics. We do have a choice, though, in where we allow our shadows to sit alongside us, though. And my goal for this year is to keep them firmly behind me as motivation to keep moving forward, the path ahead illuminated by the light, unobstructed or dimmed by the cast of the baggage I have in trail. The special brand of shitty that categorizes the last year left me struggling with how to navigate 2022. I knew I needed to have a new beginning, but to what end? It dawned on me that I was putting the cart before the horse. I'd been straining to change the narrative, but someone else was holding the pen. I first needed to wrest back control of my own narrative before I could begin to outline the change. 2021 was so packed full of destruction that I knew I needed to have 2022 be a year of creation. I love to write, and I've been deeply fascinated by videography as a storytelling tool, so I figured this is a good place to start. The phrase "work to live" has held a deep meaning to me, at least, for some time now. I spent a whole other lifetime living to work. My career as an airline pilot was the last stop on a lifelong journey centering aviation in my identity. The emptiness that resulted from my leaving the field opened my eyes to never wanting to have what I did for a living be the cornerstone of who I was again. To that end, the rebirth of this channel will not orbit around any specific subject. It will just serve as an outlet for me to put out into the world whatever it is that catches my fancy. I'm sure any successful YouTuber or marketing guru would say that's the perfect recipe for a failed channel, but I don't have any aspirations to become a professional vlogger. Whatever I produce here is for my own catharsis, to get the myriad of ideas racing amongst my inner monologue out of my head. Any attention or success beyond my own growth and satisfaction is just icing. So it would be great if people like and subscribe, but just as well if they don't. So I guess here goes nothing.